I have here the Ryzen 9 7950X 3D. For some context, any brand, whether it's AMD, Intel, would send allocated amounts of CPUs to certain countries or region. And for the 7950X 3D, they only allocate one for the whole ASEAN region. With 10 countries, over 660 million people, I have the only one early. With this opportunity, do you know what I'm gonna do? I've been working on this for a year. Custom water loop. Star Wars. Yes, I've been planning this for over a year. I'll get into that, why it took so long. First, I want to get into the parts, okay? So obviously we have the Ryzen 9 7950X 3D, and the main differences between the X and X3D is one, the lower clock speed. It's at 4.2 instead of the 4.5, and the lower TDP, making this a more efficient CPU, especially at the lower workload. And of course, the 3D V-cache technology. 144 megabytes of L3 cache compared to the non-3D that has only 80 megabytes. Actually, 80 is pretty high already. But more. To explain their V3D cache quickly.
When you fill up your cache, your CPU takes time to clear the cache, resulting in lower performance. So you increase the cache, you can put more cache.
But there are diminishing returns as you go higher and higher, and some games will work better than others. The only downside with this CPU is that it's not overclockable, because this 3D V-cache is actually really new and sensitive to higher voltages. Which, yes, it kinda defeats the purpose of custom water looping this CPU, but this is my CPU, it's my PC, I do whatever I want. Even so, I do believe there are benefits to doing this, because the max temperature that this CPU can get is 89 degrees compared to the non-3D version, which is 95 degrees. And I ran Cinebench with this CPU already with a 360 AIO. So you're using 100% of load, it gets to 89 degrees, and the speed is, if I'm not wrong, 4.7 to 4.8 gigahertz. Means in theory, if I improve the cooling of the CPU, it will either reach to its boost clock of 5.7 gigahertz at a temperature lower than 89 degrees, which I think is highly impossible. Or the more possible outcome would be, it still reach 89 degrees Celsius, but it run at a higher clock, maybe 5 gigahertz, which will be impressive. Honestly, improving the cooling won't really help gaming performance, but in CPU terms, it will help my video editing software when I render my videos, because that's the only thing that will really put 100% load on my CPU. For the motherboard, I went for Asus ROG Crosshair X670E Hero. And even though I'm not going to utilize the overclocking capabilities, there are some features that I need and it's nice to have. So one thing I need is 5 M.2 slots. Yes, 5. I have 5 NVMe SSD. This board have 4 M.2. They also come with an expansion card, so I have 5. Okay, let me concentrate on this. I don't want to mess up the CPU. Looking good. Go in. Some nice things to have is a lot of USB ports, 8 USB-A at the back, 4 Type-C at the back, and there's a little 6-pin PCIe power here, just below the motherboard power, which boosts the Type-C transfer speed for the front panel to 20 gigabits per second. And also features quick charge. You can charge devices up to 60 watts. And last thing, look at this motherboard. It just looks so good. I worked with this motherboard before. I'm gonna work with it again. For RAM, I have the Trident Z5 RGB. G.Skill do market this RAM to be for Intel. And like I told y'all, this was 1 year in the making, because 1 year ago, I was supposed to do 12900K, but waterblock didn't come, took very late, yeah. The important thing about this RAM to me is actually being able to sync up the lights with the motherboard. It works with MSI, it works with Asus, it works with ASRock and Gigabyte, so not too bad. I have 4 sticks of 16 gigabytes at 560 megahertz or mega transfers per second. G.Skill actually don't recommend you to get 2 dual kits, but I like to live life dangerously. And yes, that's 64 gigs of RAM. Why? Because I can and I want to fill up all the slots. For SSDs, a mix of Gen 3 and Gen 4. Why so many? Because I put my video files when I'm doing a project into my NVMe SSD. This will improve my video editing workflow, and when I transfer any footages from my external SSD to the M.2 SSD, is a lot faster. So I have the Clef Crest C920 M.2 NVMe 1TB. Next is the WD-SN850 NVMe SSD 1TB as well. I have two industrial Samsung NVMe SSD. I think so, I'm not quite sure, but it's 1TB. And last but not least, I have a WD Blue 500GB, and this is mainly for gaming. So only 4 slots on this motherboard, and I have one more on the expansion card. Okay, then we will add this later on. Okay, next is the water block. I have the Glacier series PhanTek AM4 water block. One thing that would be very new is that I have also liquid metal. I'll be using on the CPU, not on the GPU. I will explain why later. A bit nervous, I'm not sure what to do. I've never... Okay, wait. Now, for liquid metal, I've seen some tutorials online, read the instructions, so I should be good, I guess. I guess like that first, and then I'll just put everywhere. Okay, wait, I'm damn stressed. How do you do this? Yeah, I need more, I guess. I kind of understand how to do it, and tilting it kind of helps a bit. I put way too much liquid metal, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put as much surface area, then later suck out all the excess. Basically, I'm gonna tilt it to the side. As you can see, there's a big glump of liquid metal here, and then put it in the corner and then just suck it up. Okay, kinda understand how to do it now, because I did test this CPU already. Okay, now for the water block. Okay, I'm getting better. This is actually a lot easier. Took an hour to do that. An hour! For the case is the Lian 011 Dynamic XL. Let me just do a quick installation for this PC. It's time to put in the radiator and the fans. For the radiator, I have the EK Cool Steam PE 360 Triple. Fan choice I went for a year ago was the MSI Max F12A3. The reason being because the RGB was nice. Times have changed. I wish I had the Thermaltake swap fans, even though those cost 160 for 3. But yeah, you know, I can change it next time. Next we have the reservoir. So the reservoir pump is the 011 DPG1. It's this one, look at that. Fantastic.
The next day.
Okay, it's day 2. I done a big chunk of cable management. All the front is almost done except for the GPU and M.2 slot. After the PSU is going to be the hard part, which is putting the water block on a video card, which I've never done before, and the tubings. Let's talk about our next component, the PSU. I specially requested this PSU from Simlim Square because this is the FSP Hydro 1000 watt power supply, and it has the 12VH power connector, the new GPU power connector, because I do not want to use the adapter that has 3 PCIe 8-pin to an adapter. It looks ugly. As you can see, I'm using braided cables. Very nice braided cables, black. Very interesting that the 12-pin is a different kind of cable than the rest. For the GPU, I have the RTX 4080 ROG STRIX. This is a very beautiful card, which is a shame because I have to remove the heatsink and the fans. Like, look at that color scheme, it looks so nice. So the water block I have is the EK Quantum Vector 2. Why 4080 and not the 4090? Well, I feel like there's a diminishing returns on price to performance when it comes to 4090. And really, I haven't played a lot of games except for like Harry Potter, and I don't play games in 4K. A 3090 is more than sufficient for me actually. So a 4080 would already be an upgrade. Just help me with video editing. So you can see there, it says EK Quantum Vector 2 STRIX Tough RTX 4080. Alright, they have thermal paste, which I'm not sure. Ooh, thermal grizzly thermal paste. Okay, we're gonna use this. And I think the first thing to do is dismantle this GPU. There we go. So you can see some thermal paste to cool these chips. Now you can see this voids the warranty, and I guess we gotta do it. I think the thermal paste is gluing the chip to the heatsink. There we go. So if you're wondering what a 4080 looks like, it's actually like just that. The rest is just cooling. This is where I'm in uncharted territory, and from here it's gonna be in and out voiceovers. For the GPU waterblock, it's actually not that hard but tedious. It's mainly the thermal pads on the small components that I have to place manually, and they didn't give the right thickness of thermal pads. You can see from the two sides here, I had to double stack the thermal pads. This whole process took me 1.5 hours. Next is bending of the hard tubing. And man, this part was hard. Not because of the bending, but because of this little one bend here. Before that, let me explain to you how to bend the tubes in the first place. You have to measure how much tube you need, then cut a little more than you need just in case, figuring the point of the bend, then heating up that spot. This is where it gets a little tricky, because if you put too much heat, the tubes will bubble, which for some reason I'm really bad at, and I only managed to do 2 perfectly. Then installing the fittings, then adding the fittings on the tube to the desired spot. Sounds simple, right? Well, not for this little mother. This little was so hard and tight to get in. That's what she said. I legit took a mallet and hammer it in. And I had to use pliers to fit it in because it was so tight. Just with this one piece took me 1 hour. But really, the rest was pretty simple. Then I was told to use distilled water to flush the loop for any dirt. But what I didn't know was how to drain the system after that. So it took me a lot of effort than it should, just moving the system and carrying around to drain it. You can see my face of just blank. The whole process of me fitting and flushing and bending, the whole thing took me 6 hours. I went back around 3 AM, but yeah, I dismantled all the tubes and let it to dry for the next day. And for the next day, oh boy, the worst day. Setting up was actually really easy. Now that I have experience from yesterday, I was pretty confident, and I only set up my second camera. I didn't set up any mics because I thought there was nothing much to shoot. It took me half an hour, just half an hour to put all the tubes back because I good already. But when I add the coolant, well, I'm gonna let y'all watch first. Oh shit. Fuck. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Yes, that happened. Let me go back and let me be the commentary for my own failure. As I was filling up the reservoir, here is where my dumb ass felt something was wrong. But I just didn't understand. Probably because of the sound. Here is where my even dumber ass still didn't understand what was wrong. And when I finally looked at it for the 3rd time and saw the leak, this was my reaction. I might not have reacted much because of my lack of sleep, but what I'm going to do next
was the most stupidest thing I could do. Here's me thinking if I tilted the PC on its back, it will create an air bubble at the leak, stopping the leak. But my dumb, stupid brain didn't think about all the liquid that was already leaking going onto the motherboard. Like how gravity works. While drying the tubes last night, I didn't tighten the GPU backplate, resulting in the leakage. Smart boy, Julian. Smart boy. So there's me trying to dry the PC with a tissue and heat gun. The heat gun was set on low, don't worry. I had to take out the NVMe out, and here is me thinking it's dry, trying to turn on the PC. Well, it didn't turn on. Honestly, almost gave up. The saving grace was there was still light. And I remember this has happened to me. Not on my PC, but on a modem. Just some weird liquid on my modem. How I solved my modem was drenching it in alcohol. 99% alcohol. Just drenching it with alcohol. So that's what I did. I took my Swiss bottle and sprayed the shit out of the motherboard. And wow, when I sprayed the PCI slot, so much red liquid was coming out, which is a good sign. Somewhere on the motherboard, there was probably a liquid shotting out the motherboard, and miraculously, it worked. All I can say now is alcohol has solved me many problems in the past, this one more permanently. After that, filling up the whole system, I checked for leaks, but I've put one of the tubes in the wrong hole. Yeah, this video is a disaster. The voiceover is done. I'm going to bring you back to the Julian again. Thank you.
So I'm not sure whether I'm going to put this in a video, but I rated myself 5 out of 10 in this build. I'm going to rate myself 3 now. The thing is, I did research on what to do, but when you're so tired trying to film a video and building it at the same time, a lot of problems surface, like not screwing the freaking thing tight and then the whole thing leaking. Like one conclusion I have is that I am ready to build a custom water loop, but I'm not ready to film me building a custom water loop. Oh yeah, and one more thing, I put the fittings on the wrong hole. I'm gonna have to drain it and reposition the fitting. But I'm not gonna do it today. Even though it was a failure, it still works. And I'm gonna make this a 2-part video. Just first one is building, second one is making it actually look right and doing the whole setup, because I'm not gonna put this on my floor. Do so nice, put on the floor for what? Actually, like buy a table just for this PC to display this PC, so when you walk into my office you can see, wow. Yeah. In the other video, I'll do proper benchmark as well. But for this video, I'll just do the test that I need to do. Let's see how the results are. PC is running at 4.8 to 4.9 gigahertz. 4.95 gigahertz. It's actually not running at its 89 degrees Celsius. It's running at 86. 145 watts of power. Ugh. I thought it would at least go to 5 gigahertz. I'm gonna do some more testing for the next video. But I mean, conclusion is there is a bit of improvement. It didn't went up to the 89 degrees Celsius and it still run 0.1 gigahertz better. If you have any games you want me to test this PC out, I do have the RTX 4080 from Asus ROG, so let me know what you want me to test out. The motherboard thankfully run well, even though I spilled coolant. Well, one thing I want to mention, and I said I'm gonna do it at the end of the video, is why didn't I do custom water loop? Or rather, why did it take so long for me to do a custom water loop? Because I think if you're with me for a very long time, you know I'm a value builder. I build budget builds. I like to save money. So custom water loop is so expensive, and I'm gonna go with the price for the next video, okay? This video is just way too long already. The cost for the freaking water loop at least 1K. Just for the water loop. You can buy a value PC just with the water loop. So that's the reason why I have not, and having a humble beginning. In the beginning, I didn't really have the money to play around. Now, still no money, still struggling. That's why I need y'all to support me. But yeah, selling the PC last week helped a lot. Headache. Any questions you have about this PC, let me know. I'm gonna go back and edit. Oh, okay, the PC runs. Okay, great. Oh, thank God the PC ran, man. If the PC don't run, I'm dead. I'm gonna cry. I almost cried already. Okay, thank you. I don't know what to say already. I'm done. It's so messy. It's damn messy. 回家了。